All right, this is part two on my discussion on if narcissism is overused or underused. The term narcissism, narcissistic abuse, all that stuff. So, here's my take on it. A lot of people say that it's overused, and I tend to agree with them. Like, I get it. We all just, because when you hear the word, the first thing that pops into your head is it really narcissism, or are they just saying that, or are they the narcissist? Those thoughts always just pop into your head, and I know that those thoughts pop into head about me. Like, people think that about me too. That's just the way we're wired. We're quite to question everything. So when someone throws the word around, we question, are they using it appropriately? So here's my take on when to use it appropriately. So yesterday, by the way, I postured in a video that I think the word is underused, not overused, because I think that if you are part of today's modern technological society, you are being bombarded through that technology with a message that gives us the freedom and the support and the encouragement to think about yourself first. And the message that you're being bombarded with is that you are the most important person in your universe. You are the center of your universe. You're the most important person in your life. Do you? And we just have to be cognizant of that. Like, there's nothing wrong with making sure that your needs are taken care of, that you're safe, that you're healthy, that you're not in a narcissistic relationship, that you're not in an abusive relationship. There's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, we have to be very cognizant that that's the message that's constantly being bombarded with us, is that you're first, you're first, you're first. And we have to ask ourselves and question, is that right? Like, this is what I was born into, this society that teaches me that I'm first, I'm first, I'm first. Question everything. Is it right? If that's right for you, then hey. But that wasn't right for me. So and it's not right for a lot of people. A lot of people don't like this society of plasticness. Me coming up of age, it was like Victoria's Secret's models and stuff. And I know, like, somebody just wrote a song about Victoria's Secret's model that resonated a lot with me, because you're coming of age, and the society is bombarding you with the do you and the self-love message, and at the same time the message of, and by the way, look like this, do this, and you'll be happy. Look like this, do this, and you'll be complete. Do you, self-love, and also this is the right way to do it. So it's like society sneaks in this humility, this fake humility of do you and self-love, and at the same time tells you how to do it by telling you what's beautiful and telling you what to do to take care of yourself and to look right and to fit into the mold that they want you to fit and identify how they want you to identify. So well, my take on narcissism and when it's used appropriately is that at first you will not even use the word, because you won't even know what it is. I mean, when I started using the word, I knew that it was like a Greek mythological person that stared at himself too much in the river. Like, I knew that. But somebody called it to me, and it said that is what triggered me to go on this journey of what is that truly, and like go into the medical aspect of it or psychological aspect of it. And I just binged for a couple of years everything I could find on the subject. And that led me, because one thing leads to another. When you go down the rabbit trail, I started learning not just that that's a thing, but also that there's four of them. There's four personality disorders in the cluster B. There's cluster A, there's cluster C. And then that led me to also learn a little bit about other things like bipolar, ADHD, autism. And then that just kind of was just one thing led to another. And I learned a lot in those 2 years. And my biggest question, those 2 years that I was searching for answers on, and I think I got the answer from Dr. Ramani, and you can look her up. Dr. Ramani was very helpful in helping me understand narcissistic abuse, I guess. I don't know. But my biggest question was, can you change? There's always the question, are you born that way? What causes it? But also, more importantly, because yeah, who cares how you got it? But like, more importantly, can you get rid of it? Can you change? Can a person who is very selfish and only thinks of themselves and doesn't know how to put themselves in another person's shoes and doesn't know how to have empathy and compassion, can that person grow out of that and change? And also, how often is narcissism misdiagnosed? Like, what else could it be? What other things have similar symptoms? Maybe it's not narcissism, maybe it's something else. And so I got all those questions answered to the best of my ability during those 2 years of just binging the subject. And that's when I think it's appropriately used, is when somebody is in a relationship where there's narcissistic abuse. They will not even use it at first because they will not even understand what the word is, and what they just think they're in a normal relationship is what I'm trying to say. And when they start to use it, when the word starts to come up, they'll be embarrassed to use it. They'll be embarrassed. They don't know if they're using it correctly. They don't know if they're being judged when they use it. So my take is, when we start promoting the idea that it's overused, everybody's using it, we're actually censoring the people who really actually need to use it. They really need to come out of the closet and say, I think I'm experiencing this thing. Some people call it narcissistic abuse. I don't know. But I think I'm experiencing it. And so we're actually censoring them when we're like, oh, don't use that word. So the people who actually need to use the word to try to explain and describe what they're going through feel a little bit censored, like they're not going to be believed. So what is it like? Okay, so for me, and I'll end after explaining this, what it was like for me was that you think you're growing and you're living life and you're doing what you're supposed to do, but then somebody comes along in your life that starts just really, like a metaphorical hammer, just starts pounding on your head and like squashing any growth, because you have to grow mentally as you become an adult and as you grow up, as you age. You have to grow mentally, not just physically. You have to figure out what you believe on certain subjects and where you stand and why you are here. What's your purpose in life, and why do you believe the things that you believe? And when someone comes along and questions, not just questions in a good way, but like insults and attacks you over and over again and makes you feel like you are a horrible person, it stunts your growth mentally and emotionally and spiritually. So, for example, I identify as a Christian. So when I would strive to work on my relationship with God and stuff, this person who I'm thinking of would actually tell me, and what's it called? Like, reinforce the opposite of what I was doing. Like, would tell me that I'm actually doing the opposite. So I was getting like this 180 message. So I'm doing my best, right? And I know that I'm not a perfect person. As I said yesterday, we're all selfish, and I know that. And I'm trying my best to be a good human being, right? As we all are. I'm sure we all understand the selfishness that plagues the world, and we're all just trying to overcome it and to be a good person and be a good human being and do our best. So this person would come along in my life and say, how could you be a Christian? You're not a Christian. You're demonic. You're satanic. You're a liar. You're a cheater. And they would say things that are very, they would just really hurt. Stuff like, you don't care about me. You don't love me. Just stuff to make me feel so small and so hurt and so like I had to prove myself more. Like, I have to really try. I have to strive. This person doesn't think I love them, care about them, so maybe I am doing something wrong, and I have to try harder. And eventually, when that person started calling me bipolar and narcissistic, that's when as I explained earlier in this video, that's what triggered me. What are these things? And going on like a 2-year binge of just studying it over and over and over again to see, well, maybe I am, because I question everything. So if you tell me that I'm this or that, I'm going to question it. I'm going to wonder, maybe there's some truth to that. And I question and question and question. And I try my best to come to the truth of the matter. And so that's when I think that the word narcissism can be used appropriately, when we're trying our best to educate ourselves on narcissistic abuse, or that what it means, what that means. Abusive relationships can be physical, they can be emotional, they can be mental, they can be spiritually abusive, financially abusive, and sometimes they're all of it. Sometimes you get hit once or twice, and there's also financial abuse taking place, and there's also spiritual abuse, like in my case, where they were using my faith against me, saying that I'm a horrible person and that I'm just the dumbest things. Like, I'm not going to heaven. Just the dumbest things. Like, that's what I would be attacked with. It's spiritual abuse. It's that's what that is. It's can't explain it other than to just say it. It sounds ridiculous and stupid, doesn't it? Emotional abuse, you don't love me, you don't care about me. Mental abuse, just messing with your brain, like you know what the truth is, but they're telling you the truth is something else. So what's also called gaslighting. That's why I think it's used appropriately when you're trying to figure out what it is that you're going through. You know that this isn't right. At first you think it's right. At first you think everybody's going through this. And then you start looking around and it doesn't seem like other people are going through the exact same thing you're going through. And you're like, maybe this isn't normal. And you start to try to figure it out. And that's the journey that a lot of women have to take. So when they're on that journey, it's not helpful to say, oh, narcissism is so overused. Because you're right, it is overused, but it's also underused, because we all have to realize that we're all on that spectrum somewhere. And speaking of, now when the victim is being actively victimized, that is not the time and place to tell him or her, hey, we're all selfish. Hey, we're all selfish. You need to try harder. You need to love them more, because we're all selfish. This is a 50-50 thing. If you're fighting, then you had a part in that fight. It's 50-50. Not quite the time to do that. If a victim is being victimized by this type of narcissistic abuse, then there is an instigator, and that instigator will constantly instigate and not try to walk in the other person's in the victim's shoes. They will not have any empathy for the victim. And I know for like the average relationship, it's hard to imagine your partner not having empathy for you. Some people are not capable of empathizing with their partner because of their own baggage that they have. And I have come to the conclusion, just to throw narcissists a little, I don't know, bone here, I guess. I've come to the conclusion that a lot of narcissists, or I'm not even going to use the word, a lot of very, very extremely selfish people in selfish relationships that are mean, that are abusive, that are emotionally abusive, that say these things like, you don't love me, you don't care about me. A lot of them don't know they're doing it. They got some childhood trauma there. They were abused as children or whatever, and that's what they know. That's what they know to do. And when things get tough in their heart and feelings happen, that's the things that they say. That's what they learned as a child. And so I'm going to also say that narcissists are victims too. Just to throw that out there. I'm trying to have empathy and compassion on both sides here, the narcissist and the victim. But back to the victim stuff. To tell a victim of narcissistic abuse who is constantly in a reactionary turmoil of fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, okay? They're always either fighting back or freezing and just taking it, or going away, running away to their parents' house or something to get away from it, to have a break, just to heal mentally from it, to have some quiet time. Or fawn, which is just basically kissing the butt of your abuser and like saying what you have to say to get on their good side again. They're always reacting. They are in a reactionary turmoil. It is not the time to tell them how selfish they are. Because yes, I do believe that we're all selfish. I do believe that we all have our baggage. But remember what I said earlier. We're all growing. We all get to this point of like being an adult, and just we're as we age physically, we have to grow mentally. We have to become a wise adult mentally, in our minds, in our hearts. That takes growth. And when someone is narcissistically abusing you, telling you stupid stuff like you're not going to heaven, you're demonic. Like when someone is telling you this nasty stuff, you're a liar. Like they're constantly just berating you and going on the offense and attacking you. You can't grow. That is not an atmosphere or an environment where you can grow. Your growth is stunted, and you need to get out of there and get some peace and quiet and heal. And there have been women, I'm sure, and victims throughout past millennia who have stayed in it for their whole lives. And I can't imagine. I don't know what it was like if they ever were able to grow into the wise person that they were supposed to be, or if their growth was stunted. I know for me personally, I can't grow in that. I'm stunted. The freeze thing, the freeze reaction, fight, flight, freeze, fawn. It's like my growth is frozen too. Like I have to heal. I need healing. And so throughout millennia, I'm sure there's been many people who never found their healing. And I just hope that they were able to overcome. I mean, I currently feel like I've grown and overcome, but I had to put myself in a situation where I had to escape for a while. And I know there's relationships where you can't escape, especially if the narcissistic abuse is coming from a parent to a child. Can't escape. So anyways, all that to say, a victim is going through so much mentally, sometimes physically too, that we can't tell them, oh, you just got to try harder. That doesn't work. There's something about narcissistic abuse that no matter how hard you try, that abuse it's not going anywhere. You can't try your way out of a narcissistic abuse if you're a victim. So it's not the time to start berating a victim when they're actively being victimized with messages of, you need to be a better person, you're selfish. It's not the time. When I say we're all on the selfish spectrum, I am not directing that towards a victim. I am directing that towards humanity. I am saying all of humanity is naturally has a natural propensity towards self-love. We are all naturally geared to think of our own safety first. And when we can overcome that and think about others, in my opinion, praise God. Praise God. When we can overcome our natural desire to be comfortable, our natural propensity for convenience, and we can start putting that aside and serving others when it's not convenient and when it's not comfortable, in my opinion, praise God for that. that is a sign that you are overcoming that natural human flesh propensity towards self first, and you're starting to put others first. That was my TED Talk. 20 minutes. I don't think there's going to be a part 3 because part 1 was yesterday and this was part 2, and I pretty much said, I think, everything that I had to say on the matter. I mean, I have examples of ways that I overthink and question everything, and I'll add that here at the end because it's just as a little bonus. But like when I was working at Dollar General and I was a cashier, I was working in Amish country, and I had the question of should I wear makeup, because we all, like I said, have to grow mentally. We have to learn what we believe and why we believe it. We have to question everything. I'm a questioner, and I would question, should I wear makeup? Should I be fake? Because all these Amish people would come into my store, and I was like, should I wear makeup around them? They don't wear makeup. And so should I? And like, I'm serving them in their community. Should I try to blend with them? Are they going to think I am a rotten human being for being fake and wearing, something like red lipstick or something? So that's an example for me of that human growth. We don't just grow physically, we grow mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and we question everything, and we learn what we believe and why we believe it. And as I was going through those thoughts of how do I respect the community I'm in, but also respect myself if I want to look pretty and I want to wear makeup, like, is makeup even good for you? Is it hypoallergenic? Is it bad? Is it tested on animals? There's just so much to think about this one little subject, right, of makeup. And then you have society telling you what you should look like and what's pretty. And if you buck society and you say, well, I'm just going to do what I want to do, then all of a sudden you're not in anymore. I feel that all the time. If I don't wear makeup, I'm just regular folks, right? I'm regular people. If I do wear makeup and I try to look pretty, all of a sudden people treat me different. All of a sudden people are like helping me with my bags or something stupid. I'm looking at them crazy, like, this isn't normal. Oh yeah, I tried today. I have makeup on. I look pretty today. So many questions to really think about and contemplate about the world we live in, right? But I say that because I'm already always questioning myself and if I'm doing the right thing. So when somebody comes along and you don't know they're a narcissist, you think they're an amazing human being, you think they're great, you almost like worship the ground they walk on, like, this person is awesome. And then they turn on you and start saying things like, hey, you're not going to heaven. Not if you say and think that. Not if you're a liar. I know you're a liar. You have to be a liar. You're not real. You're fake. You are demonic. You are satanic. And they start filling your head with these negative thoughts. And you're already a person that has a knack for overthinking and questioning everything, like makeup. Like, you're already questioning if you're a good person if you wear makeup, and now this other person that you thought was so cool comes into your life and starts telling you that you're really actually a very bad person. That's gonna wreck your mind. It's going to wreck your thought life. It's going to shame you and fill you with guilt, because you're already a person who questions if you're a good person or not. And then you have this person in your life very close to you that's telling you, actually, no, you're not. You're a very bad person. And you already know, like, the concept of we're all selfish and we're all naturally, we all have a knack for doing for ourselves first. So you already know that you got to grow and that you got to overcome that. But then there's this extra voice that's coming out of nowhere to shame you, not to convict you, to help you to grow into a better, more disciplined, better human being, because that's productive, right? To grow and to have a voice that's just always encouraging you to grow, to overcome selfishness, to become a better person, that's productive as heck. But to have a voice that's shaming you, saying, you're a liar, you're a cheater, you're satanic, you're demonic, you're not going to heaven like that. There's no way you're going to heaven. You're going to hell. That's not productive. That's not godly. That's not productive. That's not a friend. That's not love. That, to me, in my opinion, that's narcissistic abuse. And that's when it's used correctly. At least one example of when it's used correctly. Another term for it could be spiritual abuse, emotional abuse, mental abuse. And I think that's when it's used correctly. I think that's when it's used correctly. And I want to add, and I want to finish with this. Sometimes narcissistic abuse is the symptoms that the symptoms that I just mentioned. It's very similar to other symptoms. If you study for yourself, I don't want to sit here and pretend I'm a doctor, so I'm not going to throw out medical terms, but if you study for yourself, cluster B, you can look it up, cluster B, and the things that go in that cluster B, they overlap. Some of them overlap with cluster A and cluster C too. But cluster B, the 4 that are in there, overlap. So it might not be clinical, medical, narcissistic personality disorder. So when I say narcissistic abuse, I am using it as just a regular folk. I'm not using it as a doctor. I'm saying for me, narcissistic abuse is emotional abuse, mental abuse, and emotional, mental, and emotional, where somebody is gaslighting you, meaning you know this is the way and the truth, and someone is over here just being mean and poking holes in what you believe in a mean way, not saying, hey, do you really believe, and explain what. No, not like that. Poking holes because you know you're trying your best, and someone is over here saying, you're gonna go to hell, and you're like, what did I do to you? What did I... I'm a liar, I'm a cheater, I'm going to hell, I'm satanic, I'm demonic. What did I do to you? What, where is this? What did I do to you? I am on a journey right now, to be a good human being, and, if you're a Christian, I'll use Christian terms. I'm on a journey to follow God, to do what's right, to, follow, become a better human being, follow what the Bible says. I'm on a journey to do the 2 biggest things God says. Love God, love people, right? What did I do to you that made you jump into my life and start telling me I'm a horrible person? Who does that? What did I do to you that made you jump into my life right now and tell me I'm a horrible person over and over again? To me, that's narcissistic abuse. So, and to me, to overcome narcissistic abuse, everyone has to empathize with others and care about others' journeys, care about where they came from, where they're going. I mean, I even do that with the person that did that actively to me. I care about where they came from and where they're going. I forgive them. I don't harbor any resentment or anger towards them. I had to heal. I had to go to my quiet place for a long time and heal, get away for a while, but I'm not angry with them. I'm happy. I'm friends with them as much as possible. But sometimes that's a whole nother YouTube video, I guess. But sometimes it's hard to really be close friends with someone who has that type of abuse towards you. But that's a whole nother video. But yeah, when someone comes into your life and just has negative thoughts pounding on your head like a mallet, I think that's a good time that you can use words like emotional abuse or narcissistic abuse. I think that's the proper time. And other people will have different ways that manifested in their life. That was how it manifested in my life. Heavy, heavy spiritual, emotional, and mental abuse. Heavy on that. But other people will have it manifested different ways. Heavy physical abuse, not emotional. Just physical, just different people have it manifested different ways. But when it exists, it is what it is, and the victim can't heal. Their growth is stunted, and they need to heal. They need to go to a quiet place and heal. They need to be led to a metaphorical grassy field by healing waters.